Hello, welcome to video 7 of our new starter series, which covers all the basics you need to get up and running of CollectionsIndex Web Edition. In this video, we're going to look at the basics of editing a record. Now today I'll be looking at object records, but the way we edit and the different types of fields that we use are common across all different types of records. So although we're looking at objects today, it's applicable to other collections modules, authorities, activities, etc. So we're going to jump straight into a blank object search just to find an object as an example. Now when we're looking at a search summary in CollectionsIndex Web Edition, we can see that under this controls column we have the options to view or edit. So we can just click edit to jump straight into the editing form for an object. However, in the first instance, let's just view this object. And you can see that when we view an object, we can see all the information currently associated with it listed in front of us. And we can, when viewing an object, go up to this edit button here rather than having to return back to our search summary. So whichever edit button we've clicked, it will take us to this same place. This is the editing form for this record. And you can see that this form is organized into these yellow banners called sections. And within each section, if we expand it, we can see there are multiple fields to record different types of data. We can open these up and close them again. We also have expand all and collapse all options. So if your page is getting very cluttered and long, we can just close everything and then just reopen the bits that you need. Now the fields that sit within each section are varied. There are different types of fields and the way that we record information in these fields varies. So the simplest type of field is something like brief description here, which is simply a free text field. So we can effectively edit and type whatever we want into this box. So let's change this to say made by Stephen Dixon. So very easy to change and tweak that type of field. A different example would be something like object dimensions. So if we go into description and scroll down to dimension, this is what we call a repeating field. So you can see we actually have two fields already here. We have a height and we have a width. And we can add and remove to increase or decrease the number of dimension fields in our record. So let's go to add a new dimension. Now, unlike brief description, dimension is a terminology controlled field. So we have to enter or pick a term that's on our terminology list for dimensions. So in this case, we're going to pick depth. We're going to enter a value. So let's say it's 10 centimeters deep. And again, our measurement unit is also terminology controlled. So we've got to pick one of these options. And that's our dimension added. So another type of field we might consider is something like a date field. So let's have a look at object production and object production date. So you can see we can, again, this can be a repeating field. We can add different types of object production dates if we want. Maybe an object was designed on one date and built on another date, so we could add that in. In this case, we are going to edit our existing date for this object. So let's say we have a more exact date. Let's say we know this was made on the 3rd of March 2012. Now we don't just have to put exact dates into this field. In fact, there's all manner of different date formats and types that the system is able to accept and interpret for us. So if we put this back to its original piece of information, which is 2012, you can see underneath in these grayed out boxes that we've already been given a date range to match what we've entered into this box. So we've got from the 1st of January 2012 to the end of January 2012. So it's automatically populated that range for us. Let's say, for example, we just put March. Again, you can see we've got the 1st and end of March populated for us. We can even do things like circa. And again, it will automatically populate a few years either side of the date we've put on. And we can even put in something very broad like 20th century And again, it will give us that date range. So there's quite a lot of flexibility with how you can enter dates, and the system should, as long as it recognises what you've put in, it will automatically populate a suitable date range for you. Another type of field, which we can also find in production, as it happens, would be something like production person. So commonly this might be the artist, the maker. In this case, we've got Stephen Dixon as the maker of this object. Now, this is an authority-controlled field. So we can't just type in any name we want. We have to have somebody who appears as a person authority record in our system. So if we click on select here, we can pick a different person if we want. So let's say this has been selected by mistake. Let's search. We know this was made by a Smith. And actually, yes, now that we think about it, it was Adam Smith. And we know he's on our database already, so we can pick him, and there he is. And we can also select a role for him. And again, this is terminology controlled, not free text. And we know that, yes, he was actually the maker, so that's fine. So another type of field we might want to edit, in fact, likely want to edit during an object's lifespan, would be its location. So let's find location here, and we have our current location for this object. Now, we will note that this is not a repeating field, so we can't add multiple locations here, and nor is there a previous location field. And that's because what the system will do is automatically create a history of location changes for us. So if we change the current location, and again, this isn't a free text field, this is terminology controlled. Let's say this is now in our offsite storage. And now let's go up and save all the changes that we've made to this record. And then we can go up to this corner here and press view. And we can see the location has updated to offsite storage. And we now have this little show history button. If I click on this, it will show me the previous locations that were recorded here. And obviously, every time you update this location, it will add to this history. We have the option to show and hide because, of course, if an object has a very long movement history, it could clog up all our page. It'd be quite hard to navigate around. So we can toggle showing or hiding this history. And we'll just note that some of the other changes we did have appeared. So we've got that made by we added in our brief description. The new depth fields that we added as a dimension. We've got the dates that we put in here. So we left it the 20th century. We've got an alternative maker that we also added for this object. So that's a simple look at some of the common types of fields that we'll be using to edit records and how we record information in those fields. I hope that's been helpful. We have lots more tips and training videos on the channel, and please do get in touch if you have any further questions or queries about using Collections Index. Thank you.